friends. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Ssemanda, the intuitive psychiatrist, and you are listening to Stepping into Soul Power today. Today, we are going to dive into a topic that, if left unchecked, can really do some damage. I'm talking about some bombs, really blow up some situations in your life. But the thing is, if it's understood, if it's embraced, you can actually do something magical. It can be our greatest teacher, or at least one of our greatest teachers, and that's anger. I think that a lot of times we put emotions into categories. There's some emotions that we label as good, like joy, love, peace. And then there are other emotions that we're less comfortable with, that we get uneasy around. And one of those is anger. Anger gets a bad rap. It does. It does. I think a lot of times when we think about anger, we think about it being very destructive. In our society in the United States, or at least where I'm coming from, I'm talking about my worldview. A lot of times we tend to avoid or suppress. But the truth is, anger is important. It is a vital emotion. It can really, get a light on what we care about, what we value. And when it is channeled in a way that's healthy, it can move us, propel us, take us in a direction where we actually grow, where we speak our truth. And even if it's directed in a healthy way, it can even point us in the direction or move us in the direction of love. And in this episode, we're going to explore what anger really is, what it's trying to tell us, why it shows up, and how it impacts our ability to live in alignment with our soul's purpose. Because let's be real. Let's be honest. Your world really depends on the actions and the thoughts that you take. So why not use that to your advantage and create the world that you truly want to live in? So I'm going to share with you a strategy, some powerful techniques, 3 powerful techniques that you can use to ride the waves of anger so that you can work with this emotion rather than let it work you. And so if you have found yourself getting pissed off, snapping at people, holding on to silent resentment, really feeling like anger clouds your intuition, makes it tough to really get a sense of what your soul is trying to tell you, this conversation is for you. Let's talk about how to tame that tiger, how to really transform anger into a guide on your soul's journey. And so the first question is, all right, okay, what is anger? Are you clear on what that is? And I will speak for me how I define anger. I really, when anger pops up, it's often rooted in a sense of injustice. When you feel that something in your life has not been fair, or even if there's a boundary that you have and it's been violated, that's when we can feel anger come to the surface. And the signs that we notice of anger are real. It doesn't just come out with what we say, right? Like we can know somebody's angry by the words that they use, but the tone of their voice, how they say things can show something's boiling underneath there. And then body language speaks. Our bodies are always talking to us. And so when people come, I guess some of the signs of anger might be like a clenched, when things are tensed up, clenched jaw, clenched fists, just in the narrowing of the eyes, the facial expression can show us like, hey, that person's about to go off. And I'll say this, that there are different levels to what anger looks like. It can be really mild, just like, slightly annoyed, a little bit irritated, and then it can go to a place, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about, where you are full blown blackout rage. Like, it's like, you are at it, and end up doing some things, either really, really do some damage to relationships, jobs, situations. There are some, it can get to that point. And I'll say this, a lot of how we react, um, a lot of times it is the we learn how to react uh, based on how we saw others reacting when we were growing up. When we're kids, when you were in the ages of 0 to 7, you are a sponge. Yes, you kind of you're soaking up. You're soaking up all the things that are around your environment. And so if you grew up in a space, in a place around people who had trouble regulating their anger, who went from 0 to 1,000 in 2 seconds, guess how you probably react to anger. I mean, it's probably the same. And so one of the beautiful things about this journey that we have here, our soul's journey, is that we get the opportunity to really transform our lives, to grow, go um, from being stuck in a particular pattern, but taking power into our own hands, looking into ourselves to get stronger, to change, and really transforming how we use and go through emotions. And the other thing I want to say is that uh, there can be cultural differences in how anger is expressed. There can also be express differences as far as how anger is expressed uh, as, when gender comes. Um, and I'll say this, and I'm just talking as somebody that lives in the United States. I will say the tendency that I've seen is for I think of women in particular, right? Are socialized to be a particular way, and so may not feel um, as safe and comfortable expressing their anger, just because uh, there are repercussions for being angry as a woman when you live in the United States. And historically, there have been some labels that have been placed on women when they are angry, like in the field of psychiatry, for example. Like, there, you can go back. There's something called hysteria. Run the tapes, and they would label women with that. She's being hysterical when she was trying to express a sense of injustice. So a lot of times, because of the price to pay if you are externally, show your anger to other people, a lot of times what women will do is they will um, internalize that anger. They will, instead of putting it out to other people, right, they're going to keep it inside. They will keep it inside, suppress. And the tough thing about that is that, when you can't express what is going on within you, you end up getting stressed. That cortisol, stress hormones going up. And when stress hormones going up, there can be real physical consequences for this. Like high blood pressure, right? People talk about that, high blood pressure. It's not good. It is not good in the long term when intense emotions like anger are directed inward, and not expressed and let go. So sometimes people internalize, they direct their anger to themselves. In the culture that I live in right now in the United States, uh, it's more okay for men to express their anger. In fact, and sometimes it can be framed as, oh, that person is just, they're really passionate, passionate about it. Uh, but I don't want, I'm talking in generalizations. I'm going to be real with you that it the expression of anger depends on the individual. These are just some things to take note and really think about for yourself. Like where do you fall in this mix? What does anger look like for you? And so the key takeaway, what I want you to take away from this is knowing who you are personally, how you experience and how you express anger. Notice what anger looks like and feels like for you. And so now that we've defined anger and how it can show up for you, let's look at why it matters so much on a soul level. So when you think of anger's impact, it can, when it's uncontrolled, can uh, veer us off our path, make things look a little unclear. It may be harder to see the big picture. Uh, I, I will say that uncontrolled anger can sometimes cloud intuition. It can derail us from acting in a way that's truly in alignment with our soul's purpose and how we want to show up in the world. And so the thing I want you to really look at is when anger shows up, what wound is asking to be tended to when anger arises? What is it? Because a lot of times something is there. And so it's important to embrace anger and reframe it not as something to be avoided, but maybe as something that is here to teach you something. It's a signal that is pointing to core values or some boundaries that are looking to be attended to. And it can be a fuel, something when it's directed constructively, it can you keep it real. It can inspire you to tell somebody the truth. It can inspire you to move towards justice and to act in a way that is real and true to you. So if anger is somebody that's here to tell you something, to speak a truth, tell you a message, how do we move to a place where we're able to not just hear it, but listen to let it tell us, like, hey, I'm speaking truth to you without letting it take over? So here are I'm going to walk you through 3 steps you can do to start using this right away. And so there are 3 core techniques that I want you to use as far as riding the waves of anger. And the first step, the number 1 step, is acceptance and presence. It has to do with those 2 things. And so many times, like these tough emotions like anger, things like sadness, grief, can be things that we try to avoid. We can try to numb it out by taking some substances that we have a little drink, or taking something that helps us not feel the feeling that is expressing or trying to express itself. But the first step that we need to do is to face it. Anger is asking us to show up and to acknowledge its presence, to acknowledge it without suppressing it or acting out in a way that's going to get us in trouble. And we're powerful. We can do that. So first step, accept it, acknowledge it. And so you can tell yourself when you're in this space is, hey, anger, I notice you. I notice anger is here and it's feeling a little bit uncomfortable. But I know that you're here to tell me something and I allow you to exist. And if you're able and willing to do this, to acknowledge it, uh, it's going to move you in a more constructive path. And this is so important because what we avoid can cause destruction. I like to tell people that I work with, I say, like, okay, what you avoid um, or suppress, it doesn't go away. It goes into the basement of your mind and it starts lifting weights. It starts getting stronger, and will show up in different aspects of your life until you start addressing it. Avoidance only revs up emotion. And so you gotta face it, acknowledge it. Step two in riding this wave is you gotta remember who you are. It's time to check in with and remember who you are. You are a soul. You are powerful. And so what I want you to do is when anger shows up after you've acknowledged it, is really be like, hey, okay, who do I want to be in this moment? Because we all have an idea of the person that we'd like to show up, an ideal. So who is that person? That person has particular values. So identify the value. When anger shows up, there's something that's being um, threatened. Usually it's related to justice, respect, safety, love, like those things, right? And then align that with your higher self. Move towards a place where you are really thinking about how the higher version of you would would act rather than uh, reacting from a wounded place. So you've acknowledged, you've thought about, hey, this is who I want to be in this space. And then step three is really about strategy and grounding. Um, and the reason why I like to bring up grounding is that it brings us into the present moment, like it keeps us here, right? Um, and it can be done in different ways, right? Like so, just really paying attention to your feet, right? Placing your feet on the ground or placing your hand on your heart can be very grounding, and really starting to pay attention to your breath. Uh, the way that we breathe can really move us towards a space where we can think more clearly. And one of the ways to do that is through breath work and breathing deeply for a longer period of time. And you know the time that you need to breathe will kind of depend on your situation, right? What's going on with you medically, but in general, deep breathing, breaths that go deep into the belly, can activate the part of your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, that helps you to relax. You're getting into a relaxed state, and then you're thinking, once you feel a little bit grounded, you're thinking about how that higher version of you would react. And so I want to do an exercise with you. We're going to try something. So if it feels safe, go ahead, just gently close your eyes. Soften your gaze and take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. And then exhale fully through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop. And bring your mind to a situation that recently stirred up anger for you. And just notice it. No judgment. Just notice. And allow yourself to feel the energy of that moment without pushing it away. And then place your hand on your heart and ask yourself, if love were guiding me right here, right now, what would love do in this moment? And maybe love would remind you to speak your truth calmly. Maybe love would invite you to set a boundary with kindness. Or maybe love would simply tell you, hey, it's okay to rest, recuperate, and tend to my own heart. And so take another deep breath in, hold for 3, and slowly exhale. And so notice how even the smallest shift toward love changes how that moment feels in your body. This is how we can begin to change things. This is how we can begin to transform the energy of anger into alignment. And I will say this, that as souls, we are here, we're trying to grow. We're trying to level up as we go through our journey. And part of that means really integrating anger as something that's going to help our soul grow. I want to emphasize that anger is not the enemy. It's a part of the human experience. It's a part of the whole self. And I really want you to do a mindset shift that it's here to tell you something. It's a signal, but it's not here to take over your life and lead to making decisions that were not in your greatest good. And so remember this process. Remember the process of acknowledging first. Number 1, acknowledge. Number 2, listen. Really listen. Remember who you are. Listen for the lesson. And then choose a soul aligned response. And then the last step that I want you to really think about, it's an important step, is once you've done those things, right? It showed up, you've thought about who you want to be, you've learned the lesson, you're choosing a soul aligned response. It's time to release. It's time to let anger go. And you can do this in many ways. For some people, is sometimes even just setting the intention to release is all they need to do. Other people, releasing something is a little more involved. They may need to express it in a different way. Like they might write a poem. They might create art. They might write a letter and then tear it up, or burn it. So think about what release means for you, but it's a really important step. So bringing all of this together, I'm going to say that anger is not the enemy. It is a part of our journey. It's a part of our experience as human beings. It makes this life that we're living it has a little flavor. Think of a world without anger, right? But it is a vehicle. It can be a vehicle for growth. So remember the process. Acknowledge, the feeling. Remember who we want to be. Listen for the lesson. Choose a soul-aligned response, and then release. So just to recap, anger, it's a signal about what we value and tells us about the boundaries, what's okay, what's not okay. And so remember acceptance rather than avoidance of anger, remembering to check who we want to be in that moment, the power of the soul, the power that we are able to change how we engage with anger rather than react. We can respond with thoughtfulness. And I'll be honest, like those patterns that we grow up with, like when we were kids and just kind of learning from the people around us how we're going to interact and express anger, sometimes they can be tough to break. So give yourself, have a little compassion for yourself. It's a process. It may not happen overnight, but every little step that you take is a step in the right direction. You're learning, you're growing. And so redirect that anger into soul aligned action. So the next time your anger shows up, ask yourself, what wood is seeking healing? How can I respond in a way that honors love and my soul's purpose? So thank you for listening to Stepping into Soul Power. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Ssemanda, and I'll see you in the next episode. If you haven't heard it yet today, I appreciate you. The soul in me honors the soul in you. If you'd like to see more episodes like this, please subscribe or click here. And friends, if this spoke to you, leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you.